Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're tackling blockchain tech and how it's trying to shake up real estate ownership.
Yeah, it's a big topic. Lots of buzz around it.
Exactly. You're here for the quick, thorough lowdown, and we're digging into our source material to get a handle on this.
Right. The core idea is fractional ownership, making property investment more accessible.
So our mission today, understand how blockchain's aiming to reshape property, what roadblocks it's hitting, and, what the future might hold.
And it's not entirely new, right? There was that experiment back in 2018.
Yeah, in New York City, East Village. They tried tokenizing a building, but it kind of fizzled. Seems people weren't quite ready for the whole token concept back then.
Public understanding is key. And the tech needed to mature, too. So now we're seeing newer platforms giving it another shot.
Like who? What's different this time around?
Well, platforms like Lofty and Vesta Equity are trying to smooth out the process, aiming to unlock investment opportunities and even home equity.
Okay, let's break those down. Lofty first, what's their angle?
Lofty's focus is primarily on rental homes. They basically convert them into tokenized assets.
Tokenized assets meaning?
Meaning you could buy a piece, a token representing a share, for potentially a really low amount. They mentioned $50 as an entry point.
$50. Seriously. To own a piece of real estate?
Well, a tiny piece, yeah.
Yeah.
But it lowers the barrier significantly. Think about traditional real estate investment.
Yeah.
It takes serious capital.
True. But how does owning, 0.01% give you any say? How's it managed?
That's where it gets interesting. Lofty uses an LLC structure. The company owns the property. And tokens or shares in that LLC.
Okay, standard enough.
But then they use DAOs for management.
Yeah.
Decentralized autonomous organizations.
Ah, the crypto governance model. So token holders vote.
Exactly. On key decisions like major repairs or maybe even firing the property manager. It's all potentially done via voting with smart contracts on the blockchain.
Decentralized management. Could be efficient, could be chaotic. What about Vesta Equity? You said they're different.
Yeah, Vesta targets existing homeowners. Their model is about tokenizing home equity.
So, I own a house. I can sell off shares in my equity.
Precisely. Without taking on debt. You sell tokens representing a fraction of your home's equity. Investors buy those tokens.
And the investors profit how? Just hoping the house value goes up.
Primarily, yes. They get exposure to the property's appreciation. The homeowner keeps living there, full residential rights. Investors are essentially silent partners banking on appreciation.
So less direct involvement than Lofty's model, potentially.
Seems like it. And importantly, both platforms apparently offer secondary markets.
For liquidity, right. So people can sell their tokens if they need to.
Yeah, addresses that classic real estate problem of being tied up for years.
Okay, this all sounds quite innovative, but there's got to be a but. What about the legal side, especially in the U.S. with the SEC cracking down on crypto stuff lately?
That is the massive question mark hanging over everything. Are these tokens securities?
Because if they are, they fall under a whole heap of regulations.
Exactly. Since you're usually buying shares in an LLC that owns the property, that indirect ownership, well, it looks a lot like an investment contract, potentially a security.
So platforms must be navigating this carefully.
Very. Some, like Lofty apparently, argue it's more like friends or family pooling money, which historically isn't treated as a security. It's a gray area.
A potentially expensive gray area if regulators disagree. How are they operating now?
Many use exemptions like Regulation D, which limits sales to accredited investors, wealthier individuals.
Ah, so not quite democratized for everyone just yet.
Not fully. The hope for many is to eventually use Regulation A, which allows sales to regular retail investors, but that's a higher regulatory bar to clear.
Okay. Beyond regulation, what are the other concerns? Critics must have thoughts.
Oh, definitely. A big worry is affordability. If you make it super easy for anyone to invest in housing, even small amounts.
Does that just pour more investment money into the market and push prices even higher?
That's the concern, yeah. Making it harder for first-time buyers, potentially worsening the housing crisis in some areas.
And the DAO governance thing we mentioned with Lofty. Any issues there?
Well, critics point out you might have a bunch of, frankly, inexperienced investors making decisions about property management. How does that impact tenants? Could it lead to poorly maintained properties or unstable rent situations?
Yeah, you wouldn't want management by committee if the committee has no idea what it's doing. Valid concerns.
Definitely things to watch.
So, looking past the hurdles, what's the big picture potential here? Could this really change homeownership as we know it?
The potential is huge. Theoretically, imagine your home, or shares in it, being as easy to trade as stock, liquid.
Turning houses into truly fluid assets.
Right. And the global real estate market is just vast. The source mentioned $278 trillion. Tokenizing even a tiny fraction of that is enormous.
So maybe in 10, 15 years...
We could potentially see fully tokenized deeds, rights, the whole ownership structure on-chain. It could make ownership genuinely more accessible.
But it all hinges on getting the rules right, sorting out the social impacts.
And maybe even fundamentally rethinking what owning property means. Legal clarity is paramount. Social consequences need careful consideration.
It's a complex transformation.
Absolutely. The tech is just the enabler.
Okay, let's quickly sum up. Fractional real estate via blockchain is back, with platforms like Lofty and Vesta trying new models for investment and equity access.
But facing big challenges. Regulation uncertainty. Worries about housing affordability and governance questions.
The potential to reshape a massive market is there, but it's very much early days. Lots of ifs.
Precisely. Significant promise, significant hurdles.
So a final thought to leave you with. If we can fractionally own homes, could we one day see entire neighborhoods owned and governed collectively by token holders? What would that even look like? Something to ponder. Thanks for diving deep with us.